So I would think race is a social construct. It is very different from what I would define ethnicity, which is basically something that we identify with individually based on our cultural history.
I think race are these categories that we kind of put upon each other based on, whether it's some of the cultural practices or traditions, or based on the way we look or language we speak. But I think a lot of it is constructed and organized by ourselves.
It groups together people who have similar cultural practices. It's not just about how you look or if you have any physical traits. It's also about common cultural practices. And I'm sure outside of Singapore, there are much more other race definitions than just the CMIO.
What was the most racially insensitive remark you've heard that was made about you?
It wasn't a very racially insensitive remark, but it was something that really got me thinking, because I was really excited. I was in junior college and I auditioned and I got selected to host one of the orientation programs, and I was hosting with another Chinese guy, and then another classmate of mine came to me and he was like, "Oh, did you get selected because you're Indian?" So kind of insinuating that I was selected as a racial token, not because I was worthy of being there. And I just felt really upset because I was so happy that I was going to be part of this, and he made it seem like I was just getting things because it's good to have a representation or a diversity token. But then he was like, "Oh, it's because Indians speak very well," and everything. And I was just like, no. And I think for me, I've had the privilege when I was in primary school, secondary school, where there were a lot of people who were a lot of people, a lot of diversity, racial and religious diversity. But in my JC, there wasn't that much diversity. And sometimes some of them, they'll be like, "Oh, you're the first Indian friend I made," and whatnot. So it was kind of hard, being able to be seen as just another student rather than someone who's "Oh, that Indian student."
Growing up, can you remember a time when you feel your racial identity made you different from others?
Personally, I am a minority within a minority. My family is the only people who are exactly like me in terms of racial mix. Mm-hmm. So my mom is mixed, my dad is Persian. So we don't really have people exactly the same as us. So growing up, every single day was me being different from everybody else in my life, other than my siblings. Yeah, my siblings. So going to school, in primary school I went to a majority Chinese school, and it was culturally it was a Chinese school. In secondary school, similar experience. I never considered myself within any one racial group that existed, as a clique that you have in teenager social circles. So for me, every day was me being different racially from everyone else. But that also gave space and created an opportunity for me to be unique in my expression, in my culture, in just me being the way that I am.
Being a very visible minority, a turban Sikh, basically you're very out there when you go out. So some of the things that I've heard since primary school would be Bayu Akala. They used to play this binging game. For me, at the start, it was very about that's insensitive of them, how can they do this, and that kind of thing. But as I grew older, more mature and all that, I realized that it's a chance for me to raise that awareness. So when they say Bayu Akala, I would just explain to them, "Hey, you know what? When you say Bayu, actually calling someone a brother." And I just explain to them what the turban means. It's a crown, it's an identity for the Sikh religion. Yeah. And as you just grew older, realize that you just need to make people aware. You need to let them know what it means.